Hey there, Monarch Nation. We're talking women's tennis at Old Dominion University with head coach Dominic Manilla. Coach, good to see you again.
Hey, Ted. Thanks for having me. Good to see you.
We start with a headline. How about Yulia Starodubtseva, the Conference USA Athlete of the Week? She's been playing really well, hasn't she?
Oh, she's been playing fantastic. From the matches all year to just every day, how she's been bringing it in practice. Yeah, she's been fantastic.
What does an honor like this do for a student athlete?
Well, anytime you get recognition for all your hard work, it feels good, and we can tell somebody you're doing a great job as much as we can and all that. But when you get something like that from the conference, it really means something because it's recognition amongst your peers, by your peers. So it means a lot.
When it comes to team unity, tennis players, we talk about this a lot, but I think it's worth repeating and going over again and again. Tennis is such an individual sport, but you've
Yeah.
got to have everybody on the same page to get the most as a team. Are there things that you do from day one and every day after that to try and perpetuate the team culture?
Well, I think it's well, you treat everybody differently. I mean, for sure. I mean, there's no way around that. But to treat everybody the best of your ability, this is a small team. If you in that type of unit, you're afforded with the ability to treat everybody well. And in that effort, you end up treating people differently. And I think that's key. Just you treat everybody as well as you can, and you're going to get that stuff. It's going to come back. It's just a reflection, of how I think how our staff treats them, the program treats them, how everything at Old Dominion treats our program is just, and then the way we reflect it back. So that's kind of how it is. And also, we also recruit top-notch people on top of that. So that's a big help.
When you're out on the recruiting trail, because it's a small unit that you are compiling, how important is it to find a piece that fits? Maybe not the greatest player, the greatest student athlete or whatever, but a fit.
Yeah, it's a supply and demand type thing with recruiting, especially as we've gotten better, the supply of players at that level has really gone down. So then you identify players, with the right type of academic scores and the right level of tennis that are a good fit for you, and then you have to pick away at that. The types of players that you need at Old Dominion, and the types of players that feel that we need them at Old Dominion and want to come to Old Dominion. So then that number becomes very small, and then after that, it's quite simple. It's just we very rarely do we say, "Hey, did you make a decision?" It's somebody just has evolved. The recruiting process evolves itself, and all of a sudden they've signed papers and they're here. And we very rarely get to that point where I say, hey, I'm going to make my decision between these couple teams, and on Friday I'm going to tell you. We very rarely run into that type of situation. The players, it starts from the recruiting process.
How involved are current team members with the recruiting process, and how involved can they be?
Well, yeah, you pretty much everything you do with the student athletes, or especially nowadays with it being dead periods and these types of things, anything with recruiting, you pick up the phone and you call compliance. Even if you are 99% sure you know the rule, you call the compliance and you get it to 100. Because at this day and age, that's all you can do is just be sure that you're following the rules, and be grateful for this privileged position we're all in to compete. With our student athletes, we obviously it's a huge impact. A lot of it is, I would say most of it is them. And the players' relationship they either have already had with the team, with a member of the team, or the relationship that they kind of develop through the recruiting process. And if they don't have a relationship with anybody on the team, well then, yeah, we like to find ways to emphasize or to grow a relationship. And if they already have a relationship, then we emphasize that relationship a little bit. But when they get here, it's important for us, whether they come on an official visit for the first time or they step on campus for the first time, that they're comfortable when they get here.
How big a deal is it for moms and dads who are looking at the Old Dominion University women's tennis program from international waters? How important is it for them to know that their pride and joy is going to be safe, secure, and in a good environment at Old Dominion?
Well, that's everything. That's everything. It's the top of the list for every parent. It's everybody wants the best for their child, and safety and their well-being, mental health, all of it is the priority.
I don't have an NCAA rule book next to me, but Anastasia and Sophia, a couple recruits that have been
Yeah.
announced. I'm not sure how much you can talk about that, but a couple of high-level internationals making their way toward Monarch Nation.
Yeah, really excited about both of them. I'll go in order of how we signed them. We signed Sophia back, I think it was last semester. She had just, in October, she had just been named the number one 16-year-old in the UK. Super promising player. I think that she's going to make an impact on our program immediately. She is coming a little early. She's 16 years old right now. She'll be 17 when she steps foot on campus, but really looking for the impact that she's going to make. We've had Hutchinson, who made such an impact with our program the past 5 seasons now. And then Sophia comes from a similar background, similar acumen, actually a little bit more success on the junior tour in the UK. And I'm really excited for what she can add. And then with Anastasia, who we call Nastia, she has played some tennis, man, and she is a really good player. I think she was WTA highest 604. She's a lefty. We'll think that she'll make an impact towards the top, whether it's, the 1, 2, or 3 position, whatever it is. What I foresee her making an impact there and being one of the best recruits in the country for sure. But, I think she has the acumen to be 3 to 4 years first team conference player for us. So that's we're looking forward to that. And then we have 1 spot left. We're being pretty picky with it. Like you said, like we talked about the supply and demand of it. We're looking at this, that there's very small supply of players that can come into it and make an impact on our lineup, and that's our goal.
How is it and why is it so funky playing a left-hander?
Well, everything's kind of in tennis. It's kind of like in baseball when you pull it over the right or the left field. It's kind of about the pull. Like wherever the ball is going to bounce when you get the outside of the ball a little bit, and the lefty does it opposite. So it's a lot of right-handed players play tennis for some reason. Very few lefties, I guess. But when they do and they're good, they're really good. It seems like, and it also it's their forehand with the backwards bounce to our backhand, and predominantly most players have a little bit more trouble with their backhand. They're a little bit restricted with the 2 hands these days, and so a different bounce, different contact points, a little tougher to handle.
How difficult is it finding a balance and maintaining a balance between the tennis gym rat who wants to be on the court playing and practicing all the time and keeping up a heavy academic load, because women's tennis at Old Dominion, one of the highest GPAs of all the student athletes?
Yes. Well, it's demanding. It's demanding, but we talked about it just yesterday. They look at it like, and we look at this as like, boy, we're privileged to be able to get these things. So we don't wake up every day saying, man, I have to practice at 7:45 to 9, and then I got to get taped, and then I got to go to these classes, and then I have to practice at 12:30 to 3, and then I have to go to weights, and it's a lot, and then I have to go to class from 4:20 to 9:50. Instead, we substitute the word have for get. And we can say, hey, I get to wake up at 7:45 and practice hard. I get to go, go to these classes on scholarship. I get to practice again in this fantastic indoor center for 2.5 hours doing what I love. And then I get to, get treatment, and then I get to go to classes again on a scholarship. So we feel very privileged. I think that we have a balanced approach and look at that. And at the end of the day, we're all very fortunate to do what we do. And we kind of all live that. I think that's important.
And you get to host the College of William & Mary Saturday at the Folk Stevens Tennis Center, 10 a.m., and then you get to play against VCU Sunday. So busy weekend coming up. Tell us about the weekend.
Well, playing William & Mary in VCU is always special, especially in, if you're a tennis fan in Hampton Roads, VCU, William & Mary. I mean, those are some of the, those are the brands for tennis in this area. So it's exciting to have both of them at home. We get to host them both. It's a privilege to host them both in the same weekend. We're doing a home and away with both those teams. So later in the spring, we'll be there. But yeah, William & Mary, coached by former associate head coach here, Tony Nikova. She'll be in town. It'll be nice to see her and see her program here on display. And then we have VCU the next day, who's under new leadership with Vivian Segnini. And we all know the history that Yana has at VCU with her multiple tenures at VCU.
Before we get you out of here, a quick word about your staff, because those you obviously work hard. Your staff has to work as a unit, not only to get the tennis right, but to get the recruiting right and the academics and all that stuff. Tell us a little bit about your staff.
Well, Yana Sokolenko is our associate head coach, and I tout her as being probably the best person in that position in the country. Given a school like Old Dominion to have somebody like Yana, not in the head coaching role, but in an associate head coaching role is beyond fortunate. We're beyond lucky to have her. Her abilities on court as a technical coach, as a player's coach, or her ability to coach somebody during a match, kind of pull somebody across the finish line for the win for the team. All those, but from recruiting, the identification of players, it's a serious weapon for us to have Yana. So, she's a major part of our success. And then beyond that, we've added Clark Cummings this year, who's been a huge help for us on the social media side. He's been working with Grant Gardner, who's our SID, a lot, and he's been helping us there, helping us improve internally. In this new climate, that's super important. We can't have people come to our matches, so our exposure is on social media. And Clark has helped us develop ourselves a little bit more. I'm a little bit more on camera with our little recaps and these types of things. And so he's kind of exposed us a little bit more and helping us grow our brand. We added Ali Wahab as a director of ops. He's from the wrestling background. He was a wrestler here at Old Dominion, and he's finishing up his degree, and he's working with us at the same time. So it's been great having somebody like that who's super positive and understands that one-to-one combat mentality. And as well as, it's really nice that he's going to be able to finish up as part of a team here at Old Dominion, after what happened to the wrestling program. So I think it's a positive situation there. And then we have just a positive situation with all of our staff just being so darn good,
Staff and team going at it this weekend at the Folk Stevens Tennis Center. William and Mary Saturday, VCU on Sunday. Coach Don Manilla, best of luck this weekend, and thanks for the time.
Thanks, Ted. Go Monarchs.
Talking women's tennis with head coach Dominic Manilla here on Monarch Media.